I'm going to press record, recording. We can still kind of chill and get in here a little bit. It's all fine. Welcome, ladies. Before I get started, does anybody have any questions? No?
Nope.
Okay, wonderful. Um, I'm so excited for tonight because what tonight's about motivated sellers and how to talk to them. All right. So did everybody see the recording or get a copy of the recording of the last event? Anyone? Raise your hand if you did. No? Okay. That's all right. Um, I put it on YouTube and like 25 people watched it. So I was like, oh, I wonder if that was anybody from the event. And that's okay. But it'll be on your email. If you look out for your email, it'll be on there. And it very much leads into today. So
Is it the
motivated,
event that happened in person?
what's that?
Is it the event that happened in person? Because I
Sorry.
saw, no?
No, but that was our in-person event. And you know what, Fallon? That's so funny you ask because Danusia was at our event all the way out from Ontario with
Oh, no
Christine.
way!
Yeah.
Oh, I'm from Quebec. And when I saw the event, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to register. And then I look, oh, yeah, I can't go.
Yeah.
It's so far.
It was
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Ontario is my originating province, but I flew in from Edmonton that
oh so
time.
Okay,
yeah.
guys.
Just took an airplane. Pretty cool. I always
Okay,
feel
Yeah,
wow.
pretty cool when somebody does that. Not
Yeah.
not that
you're
it's
worth
about
it,
me.
Julie.
Anyway, it was so the live event was great. Oh man, that was a lot of fun. But the last weekly Wednesday, we talked about for sale by owner, um, and how to present to motivated sellers, just kind of using a presentation format. So what's happened since then is I've created two presentations for motivated sellers. And they are everywhere. Motivated sellers are everywhere, even in hot markets like Edmonton and Calgary right now. So it's June of 2025. Wow, I can't believe it's June. And Alberta is definitely a very exciting market, whether you're in Edmonton or Calgary, even Red Deer. I know a gal, she's got smoking awesome deals over in Hanna, Alberta, a little tiny town, Lethbridge. And there are still motivated sellers. So no matter where you're watching this from, there's always somebody that's either a motivated seller or about to be a motivated seller. So you want to be ready. You want to be ready in case it's a fit for you. So or even if it's a fit for them. Of course, it's got to be a fit for both of you. And the way I mostly work, and with all the people that I work with, I recommend presentations because it's just a really good systematic way to show people how you can help them and then of course give them the capability of deciding whether or not it makes sense to take the next step. So,
Mhm.
in a in a motivated seller situation, that's why I have the motivated seller worksheet. And if nobody has the motivated seller worksheet, then there will be a link around here so that you can access it. Okay, what that'll do is, let's say you see a for sale by owner sign on a lawn and it's kind of sun faded and you can barely read the writing. So maybe that kind of gives you an indication that the house has been for sale for a while. Let's say you call and you actually get a hold of the seller. You want to know all the details that you can about the house, like square footage and what condition it's in, and whether or not there have been updates, whether or not there's a garage, the age of the house, just all of basically the information that you can get from any feature sheet. Okay. And then also, it's called the motivated seller worksheet because if somebody's really motivated, then 9 times out of 10, it means something's not quite right, that they need help. So they should be willing to give you a lot of information. And the two kind of scenarios that I see most often are people that may or may not even have a mortgage, but they don't want to be landlords, and maybe they're holding on to a property and wanting to sell it, but for whatever reason, they don't want to work with realtors, or it's not in great condition, or some other kind of issue that's holding them back. So that's usually scenario one. Somebody that actually does have equity, but for whatever reason, they don't want to sell. And then the second scenario that I run into a lot are people that actually have too much debt on their property. So it doesn't make sense for them to sell. Also, sometimes because the house might need work, and maybe there's just not room to sell with a realtor, in which case, if you go back to the previous event, we do talk about a program called Property Guys. Fallon, I know you were there for that, and Danuja, I know you've heard about it, and Christine knows everything um, about Property Guys. It's a great way to sell if you want to sell on your own and make more money. And so those are the two big scenarios that I run into. And I just actually am putting the last finishing touches on a rent to own course that I've actually put together with Christine. And she's been at all of the sessions. So far, there have been 4 sessions. And what I realized is I really do need to add another session all about what's called sandwich lease options. And that is where somebody has maybe an over leveraged house that you can purchase from them doing a lease option and leave the financing in place. And what that can do is it can enable them to do better at the end of the day. And I'm going to show you numerically, like numbers wise, how that looks. And then I'm going to run through with you another scenario of maybe a house that does have some equity and how you could potentially present to somebody like that. And those kinds of deals, if you're able to get into something that does have some equity, you can wholesale it, or you can buy it as a lease option and try to sell it as a lease option as well. You can purchase it, do renovations, and do maybe a BRRRR technique. There are all kinds of options when it comes to buying something that's really, really well priced. Okay. And either way, when you're working with a motivated seller, you always want to have their best interest at heart. And while at the same time letting them know that I want, by putting it this way, you want to sell your house and I want you to sell your house too. And as I do this, I'm probably going to make some money, and to be very transparent about that. Okay.
Mhm.
So just going into every situation, every scenario, wanting to create a win-win. So that's absolutely fundamental and primary when it comes to these kinds of deals. And I bring that up because I've been in training in the past where that hasn't necessarily been the message that comes across. So I just really hope that, and I know that everybody here, that message makes sense. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to walk you through a presentation that I would give to somebody who is a motivated seller with a fair amount of equity, with a house that needs some repairs. And then I'm going to walk you through a presentation with a motivated seller, and it's actually going to be the identical property, because I'm making this up as a pretend scenario. Identical property, but a different situation where it has a lot of debt on it. And I'm gonna propose a scenario where we do a lease option purchase. Okay, so that's kind of setting the stage for what's going to go on here. And again, it should piggyback off the last weekly Wednesday, because it does follow it follows basically what I like to call the system of the sales presentation. All right. And you'll see when I get into this. So I'm sharing my screen, and I'm hoping that, okay, the first one I'm doing is the wholesale one. Yeah. And I know it's not sharing yet. And I have to find it. There we go. So, from the beginning. Okay. So this is actually the same presentation that I used for the last event that I did. Just how to put together a presentation for a motivated seller. And so in this deal proposal, it's for I just simply call it a deal proposal for the Ethel Street property. And first and foremost, I already went over why it's important for you to look at the motivated seller worksheet. And this is what in this pretend scenario that I was able to kind of gather the important highlights of this particular seller. So this is mom and dad's house. The kids are out of town. They found me through a mutual connection from my real estate investment group. They want to sell this house badly. They're afraid of it sitting on the market too long. They've had a realtor go through it, and the realtor said, well, if you really wanted to sell, then you need to do about $50,000 worth of work. The house is vacant. They feel like they have not a lot of options. They can't afford to wait. They can't afford to hang on to this thing. There's only $200,000 worth of debt on the property, and it's worth about $900,000. So there's a lot of equity in this house. But they really don't want, they really still feel like they don't have a lot of options. And this is literally what could be happening to people right now, like literally in the city of Kelowna. We are here in a buyer's market, meaning there's tons of property on the market, and a lot of these are older homes, and a lot of these are situations where it's just this, where somebody is an older couple and they've moved on to the next chapter of their life, whether that be moving in with the kids onto an old folks home. And it's happening more and more and more because the greatest generation, that's who I like to call them, are getting older and older, and the baby boomers. So I'm back in presentation mode, and we're going to go over the 7 things. I'm going to go over our credentials. I'm going to talk about numbers on the deal and what is proposed, how it's going to work, some of the benefits, some of the potential drawbacks. And at the end of this, end of our time together, I just want to make sure you know that I'm going to ask you for a decision. And if we decide to move forward, then great. And if we decide that it's not a fit, then that's okay too. Okay. But if it is a fit, I do want to take a couple of minutes to make sure we go over our next steps together. And before we get into things, I want to make sure that you have enough time. So are we still good for 20 minutes or 45 minutes or however long you set up the meeting? So this is me. My name's Julie Hoffman. I've been doing in real estate since 2001. I've done hundreds of deals. We've lost everything at one point and built back up. I'm just going to kind of go over my background. This is me as the team member. This is somebody that I work very close with when it comes to financing. All right. So this is Craig Van Dolder. He gives good loans. He likes to go mountain biking. He's very talented. He's helped not only myself, but dozens of other members of my Okanagan real estate investment group that I know of. I know he's helped hundreds of people. This is one of the lawyers that we'll be using. He's a Kelowna-based lawyer. He understands these kinds of real estate deals, so he's a great key team member to have. In addition to just buying this house, which is what we're going to propose, we have lease option experience, have created a lease option course. I bought my house through lease options and was able to sell creatively. That's a little bit off topic here, but that's okay. And here are some of the people that we have helped in the past. So this property, these two both are in Peachland. This house with this property we bought from the developer because the developer needed to sell off a chunk of land. And so we were able to get it for a really great price and convert it into make it more and more houses. This property right here was from an older couple down in Vancouver. And they were ready to move on to their next step in life. And with the sale proceeds of this house, they were able to make their next steps in their retirement home that much better, and help their money, their wealth that they had built up over time, last that much longer. This house right here was from a lovely couple who had lived in the house for 30 years and had done tons of upgrades to it. And they had already bought a house up in the Shuswap. So when we were able to buy their house, they were able to move on again, also to the next chapter. So we kind of have a tendency to work with next chapter people. This is my husband. His name's Jeff Hoffman, and he really understands the nuts and bolts, literally, of houses, what kind of condition they're in, what they might need, and really help us with dialing in when it comes to numbers and renovations and upgrades and that sort of thing. And he and I have been working together since 2001, since practically we got married in 99, so it's been quite a while. So this is your house. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. We know it's in a great area. And what we propose is that we purchase the house for $750,000. Now, I know right now, everybody, just going off script, that I have $760,000 later on in the presentation. Don't let that distract you. I just know that it's there, and I just thought of it. So heads up, everybody. So this house, though, these are the details. This is what you've told me about it. You kind of explained to me your situation, that you're wanting things to move on. So I just want to go through with you a comparison of what might happen if you were to sell to us now, or if you were to hold on and potentially sell with the realtor. So selling with the realtor, you're going to have to deal with showings. Sounds like you're going to have to do a lot of money worth of upgrading. You're going to have holding costs, and you don't really know what that's going to mean as far as how long that's going to take. You might worry, you might just feel like it's a hassle. And plus, on top of that, when it finally does sell for, who knows how much, you're going to be paying out of pocket for a realtor commission. Versus selling to us, where we can have your money to you within the next 60 days. There won't be showing unless it's okay with you. We promise to make it completely easy for you, as easy as possible. We'll take the house as is, where is. You don't have to touch a thing. Hopefully this will give you peace of mind. You can't really put a price tag on it. We'll take care of everything, and we'll even pay your legal fees. So we acknowledge that your house is probably worth a bit more than what we're asking to buy it for, but it's our hope that in addition to helping you sell the house, that you understand that we'd also like to make some money on this deal. Now I'm going to talk about that again right now. So we'd like to purchase the property for $750,000. Full disclosure, since full disclosure, we're getting it for a decent price. We're likely going to find another buyer. You see, we've got a large network of people who are in the business of finding houses like yours, putting a fair amount of money into them, and either refinancing it or renting it out, primarily with other real estate investors. So that is what our objective will be. That said, we might end up buying it ourselves as well. It just depends, but I want to be, I want to be transparent with you, because I'll make sure that it's all written there in the paperwork for my protection as well as for yours. And again, full disclosure, we hope to make some money on this deal. So I just want to stop right now and make sure that you are okay with that. You don't have a problem with that, do you? And so just kind of breaking script, this is where somebody might say, well, yeah, if it's worth way more, I want way more. And you know what? That might be the end of the presentation. But I need to remind you that if you have gone through a full motivated seller worksheet and you've gauged how somebody is talking, that should have come up in that conversation. But if it comes up here, that's okay too. at least you've given it a try. So you want to bring it up. You want to bring it up as soon as possible so that everybody's going into everything eyes wide open. So there are some obvious benefits to selling to us this way. Sale within 60 days. That's less than that's 2 months or less. No more showings. Again, we'll just take it the way that it is. We take care of everything. We're going to pay your legal fees. You're not going to be out of pocket for this property, except for, the 2 months of carrying costs if it takes us that long. But of course, there are risks. There are risks whenever you enter a real estate purchase contract or any kind of business deal. We could fail. We might have to adjust the price. We may have too many challenges with this sale. Something could happen to us. There could be some major issue with the property that we didn't discover, which forces our hand and having to walk away. You could end up listing it after all, again, if we fail, because that could happen. And you might, at the end of the day, feel like it's been a huge waste of your time. Those are some risks that might happen. So just a number summary. This is where I made the error in the math, ladies. So your patience is, ladies and gentlemen, anybody that's watching this, going to have a 60-day exit. There might be some showings. We're going to keep that to a minimum. We'll sign sale paperwork, pay your legal fees, and you'll end up with $750,000 because that was the original number. Julie, so the summary of growth. All right, we're going to give you another 10. How's that sound? We're going to give you another 10. So your summary of growth of your money situation is that it's going to be $760,000. You're going to know exactly where you're at in the next 60 days or less. So at this point, I just want to know, do you have any questions for me? And then this question, or no, that's pretty straightforward. Awesome. I really only have one question for you. Is there any reason you would not want to move forward with us on a deal like this? And so somebody might say, so there are things that you can either have responses to, or there are things that you can change or things that you can't change. Somebody might say, yeah, before I got on this presentation, I talked to my brother-in-law and he said that we shouldn't sell it for anything less than $770,000. So if this thing's worth 900 as is, and they want 770, I've still got $130,000 spread there. So I may consider it. I may even be able to say, well, let's say I can do that. Is there any other reason? Okay. And so those are good responses if somebody does have issues that you can control. But, if you ask this question, is there any reason you would not want to move forward with us on a deal like this? And they come back with something like, well, yeah, I just made my mom a promise on her deathbed that I would never sell to a girl named Julie. Well, I'm not changing my name. So there's nothing I can do about that. But that's just a silly example. But there are examples that people will give. Let's think of something more reasonable. Let's think of something that somebody might say, and that is, well, yeah, if it's worth 900, then I want 900. Well, okay, that's great, because my offer is this. What you want is this. We have our gap is too wide, and that's okay. And if that happens, then so either way, okay, so it's either something you can control or something that you cannot control, or this is the only time I really like it when people say no to me. Is there any reason you would not want to move forward with us on a deal like this? No, there's no reason. This sounds perfect. Wow, we've been looking for you for 6 months. Where have you been? Awesome. Either way, if it's a yes, if it's a no, if it's not a fit, if it's I need to think about it, if it's a whatever, that's fine. You say thank you. All right, so let's say, okay, let's back up a bit. And if somebody says, yeah, I just don't make a decision like this unless I've thought about it for at least 86 hours. Again, I'm being kind of silly. So it's like, okay, well, 86 hours. That means why did I have to use such complicated math? Let's just so in 86 hours, I'm gonna text you and see if you are still um I'm gonna text you to get back together. Do you see any reason why you would not, at least be able to respond to me? And
That's
that's
three and a
for
half
somebody.
days.
Sorry.
That's 3.5 days.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Cindy.
72 plus 10-ish.
Well done.
12.
Math lady right here. 3.5 days. So let's just say I reach out to you in 3.5 days. Do you think that or tell you what, let's set up a meeting right now for 3.5 days from now. Is this a good time for us to meet? Yes or no? Blah, blah, blah. You set up the next question. Okay, so it's a few scenarios. And either way, however direction it goes, you just say thanks. So if they are wanting to move forward, they're just like, no, this is great. I feel comfortable. I've talked to everybody and they are just like, sell the house, because that'll happen. Next steps. Here's what next steps are. We're going to complete paperwork. You're going to have conditions. I'm going to have conditions. We're going to make sure we both have lawyers. We're going to need to just get in there and have a quick inspection and make sure everything's good. You might need to show this to like your probate lawyer or something like that. Whatever you need to do, we're going to get some paperwork complete, okay? Some ink to paper. That'll be the offer on your house. We're going to communicate really well. Then if everything goes as we think it could go, your house is going to be sold. So that's how you do that. That's how you do something that has a tremendous amount of equity. And again, there's multiple exit opportunities here. If you've got a bunch of investors lined up who are dying to get into a house like that in Kelowna, maybe this is where you set it up so that you buy it with an investor, do the renovations, do a burr, great. Maybe you wholesale it. Maybe you buy it yourself because you're ready to buy it and do all of the improvements and rent it out. And maybe, okay, this is a whole other maybe especially when it comes to wholesaling. And this is one of the reasons why I love wholesaling so much. Maybe you get it under contract, you dig a little deeper, and you find something huge, like it's still on a septic, and the only way to get it purchased, the only way for it to make sense is you're gonna have to do some kind of big, expensive city hookup. Okay, maybe just maybe something big comes up, and you walk away. There's nothing wrong with that. Or you get it under contract and you find out there's just not an appetite. You can't give it away. You can't give this contract away. Nobody wants it for $5,000. Nobody wants it for $5. In which case you say, you know what? I know you wanted to sell it. I wanted to sell it too. The buyer didn't work out. All the best of luck to you. Thank you for your time. Keeping in mind you did warn them about that. All right. So before I move on to the next example, who has questions? Oh, yes. Danuja, you go first.
Hi. So at some point in this, are you going to show us all our the buyers, the wholesalers homework that they have to prepare ahead of time, like exactly super simple. Where exactly are you going to get 700 and whatever dollars in 60 days?
Oh, so you're asking where am I going to find $760,000 in 60 days?
Yeah, so at some point during the presentation, I'd like to know like step one, step two, and so all the steps that we do ahead of time before we even talk to the seller, right? Because you have to make sure
Okay.
that all your back homework is ready to go. Because in 60 days, you have to be ready. So it's not actually 60 days. That's the pretty number. It's going to be earlier, right? You have to calculate the banking time and the communication time, which usually sucks up at least 3 weeks,
Okay, so
right?
Danuja, how many wholesales have you done?
0.
Oh, okay. All right. I just wanted to gauge where you're at. So this presentation is not about it's not about wholesaling necessarily because there's like we have a whole 10 session course on wholesaling itself. So I'll try to summarize it quickly and efficiently.
Hmm.
When you go to do a wholesale and you get ready to buy a house, you get ready to find a deal like this. Ideally, what you may or may not already have built up is a buyer's list. And so
Of
there are lots
course.
of different ways to create a buyer's list through your network, through email campaigns, through Facebook groups, through having multiple conversations, letting people know, hey, I'm wholesaling and I'm looking for this kind of property in Edmonton. Do you know anybody who might be interested in a property like that? So, like you said, to be ready, you want to have some people, ideally, who could, let's just say, pay cash, $760,000 for this property, or they've been pre-approved and they have the down payment and they have the money to do the renovations. Yeah, so essentially a buyer's list. And the other option that you can have, the other option that there is once you've found this property and you have it under contract, it's at that point you can again, and I like Facebook and I like my email list because my email list has kind of grown quite a bit since it started like about 10 years ago, and that's just from networking and that sort of thing. And you may already be on people's list where there's like a deal alert. Hey, I have this property available and here are the details, and here's how you can make money. So if you're interested, reach out to me. And then it's at that point that you've got the property under contract, and hopefully somebody will buy that contract from you. And that's what a wholesale assignment of contract deal is all about.
Right.
So, like, we don't have enough time here right now to go through all of those details. This is kind of under the assumption that you're ready to wholesale. And that's either
Right.
because you've taken lots of courses or you've taken a course, or maybe you've just Googled like crazy on YouTube about how to do wholesale deals because all three ways are doable and are available for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Awesome. Christine.
I was just curious about the legal fees because you're telling the seller that we're paying all the legal fees. So we're paying legal fees on both sides, right? To make
Yeah,
it sound
this
more
would be a
lucrative.
situation where, and I threw it in there as you don't have to pay their legal fees. But if I think
Yeah.
this is a good enough deal and I know what I know, and again, it goes back to, what I just went over with Danuja. This is assuming you've done your homework. This is assuming that you've looked at a lot of property. This is assuming that you are so dialed into the market that you know this is a good deal,
Okay.
or at least you're like 80% confident.
Yeah.
So, in this scenario, I'd say, because I know Ethel Street, I know how popular it is, I know all the benefits. Christine, you do too. Well, you might. I think you do. Ethel's a pretty good area.
Getting
Yeah,
there.
but it's a
Yeah.
really good area, great
Hmm.
walkability, lower mission, which is the most
Yeah.
popular place. It's on the flats. Anyway, um, I'm okay to pay somebody's legal fees because I
Right.
know what that math is, and I know I'm still walking into like plenty of meat on the bone, and I'm
Yeah.
confident that I'm going to be able to find a wholesale buyer.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. Thanks.
Okay.
And those are great questions. I'm glad you both asked both of those questions. You don't have to pay somebody's legal fees like at all. Um,
Okay.
but it can happen. Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, great. So let's go over to the next one. I have it open. That's wholesale. Rent to own. Awesome. And where's our friend Fallon? Oh, she had to go. She must have had to go. She can watch the recording. Yes, we're recording. Woo, almost
Yes, we are.
okay. All right, we're back again. So if you hadn't noticed, this I really like to do the same thing over and over again. And it goes back to some coaching that I did a long, long time ago for network marketing. And it's so ironic that I'm talking about this today because I just had this little webinar thing with my coach. His name is Mark J. And he says this one thing. It's called do the same thing. And it's another version of create a system because systems enable ordinary people to achieve extraordinary results. So as we go along in this presentation, it's my hope that you can see that it's very similar to the presentation that I just gave, but it has a different twist on it because it's a different scenario. Okay, and I'm going to go over that like I did the previous one. So this is for a rent to own sale, otherwise known as a lease option. So thank you so much for being here. Are we still good for 35, 40 minutes, depending on questions? Yeah, and then they say yes, awesome. Or another scenario is, oh no, I forgot to tell you I need to be done in 15 minutes. Okay, so I'm just preparing everybody because I love to talk about this. If you think a 45-minute meeting is going to be now a 15-minute meeting, you've got to get your phone out and you got to watch your time. Okay. And even say that. Say, oh man, I'm going to watch my time then. I'm going to put a timer on for 15. I'm going to put a timer on for 12 minutes because if we're not done yet, I just want to take a couple of minutes to make sure that we have time to reschedule this so that I can go through the rest of it. She must have, she just came back, Fallon. Okay, so again, you've got to be able to bob and weave as these things come up because if I think I have 45, but I only have 15, I want to make sure that, again, I've got the time to plan the next step. Okay, hi Fallon, welcome back. Hope you're okay.
Yeah, it's my computer is acting up, but thank you. The presentation is good. So me, I'm in another business. I told you I'm a working business.
Yeah.
It's both because I'm in the sales and for those in my business and just build my own business based on what you know as a, also it's really good. Thank you.
So I think that your internet might have chopped into that a bit. Do you want to do you want to put that in, type it in the chat? Just mute yourself and type what you said into the chat. And then I can respond to it because I didn't understand half of what you said, but because I think it's your computer. Yeah, you're frozen. Okay, poor girl. Don't worry, Fallon. I think you're gone, but you're gonna get the recording. Don't worry, sweetheart. Okay, we got you. All right, so let's dive into the rent to own proposal. So again, this is the motivated seller worksheet of setting the scene. Scene. I like to pretend I'm in the movies. Okay, sometimes. Just stay with me. Stay with me, folks. This is the scene. This seller wants badly to sell. She's also afraid of it sitting on the market. I forget off the top of my head how she got this. Up, she's moved. She's already moved. She's already switched jobs. She left the house behind. It has a $650,000 mortgage, and the realtor said that it's going to be about $50,000 for her to get it in good enough shape for the realtor to sell it. And then a value, it might sell for about 750. Okay. Might sell for about 750. The house is vacant. She feels like there are no options and she just cannot afford to wait. And I don't know how many times I gotta tell you folks, if somebody says there's no deals out there, it's just not true. There are people like this who need help, who need your help. Okay. And they definitely are out there. So keep that in mind. So this is a scenario. and I'm the lease option buyer or the rent to own buyer. I know that there's equity. I know, and I know that I've got somebody with me, a joint venture partner or something that is capable of holding on, that has about $800,000 to put toward renovations, to save up for a war chest, um, and holding costs and legal fees. Again, the house is vacant, so we can renovate it really, really easily, and we can sell it. We can wholesale it, or we can rent it out, or we could sell it as another lease option, which is called a sandwich lease option. All right. So also with a house like this, I know if I can get into it as a lease option buyer, I can develop it later. I can wait for the market to recover. I can maybe use short-term rentals as an option, house hacking, all kinds of different options. I love single family homes because there are so many options. I love all kinds of properties too, but I just really love single family homes, especially in older areas with big lots. And again, and I don't think, actually, I don't think I said this. I don't know why I said again. This is a no bank qualify opportunity, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to propose is that we buy it from them as a lease option. So again, how I start the presentation. We're going to go over 7 things: credentials, numbers on the deal, what is proposed, how it'll work, some of the benefits, some of the drawbacks, because there's always drawbacks, folks. At the end of this conversation, at the end of our 35 minutes together, I'm going to ask you for a decision. So this may be something that's a perfect fit for you, and it may not be. And we may discover that it's not a perfect fit for us to move forward either. Either way, it's fine. But if it is a fit and we should move forward, I just want to make sure that we have enough time to go over our next steps together.
Julie,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. I think
Oh,
we're still looking at your past presentation.
thank you. You gotta, oh, poor people. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
no.
I'm so excited about this. All right, so let's go back. We'll go back a
There we
bit.
go. 7 things. Okay.
So this is the presentation.
Got it.
Rent to own, aka lease option. Thank you so much, Christine. And thank you everybody for your patience. This is the lease option presentation, aka rent to own. Motivated seller worksheet comes up with they need badly to sell. It's sitting on the market. It's got a pretty high mortgage. There's no money in the budget for renovations because this person just moved. The house is vacant and they feel like there are no options. They just simply cannot afford to wait. Lease option buyer, in this case, knows that there's some equity here. There's some meat on the bone. And that this lease option buyer, myself and a joint venture partner, likely a joint venture partner, has like $80,000 to put toward the reno, to take over things, to have a war chest, have money there for legal fees and potentially holding costs while the property gets renovated. Since it's vacant, you can renovate it, rent it out. We've done that so many times, and it's been absolutely amazing. Yes, there can be issues when it comes to renters, and it can also go extremely well. I can say with 100% confidence that the Okanagan is someplace everybody wants to live. And so I rarely have trouble with renters, especially because I really buy in only good areas. The other option is, well, I can buy it as a lease option and I can also sell it as a lease option. So I could put a tenant buyer in the property. And there are all kind of benefits to that. I'm not going to go into too much depth because we have a whole rent to own course about some of the benefits of rent to own and why it can make so much sense for an investor. And then when it comes to, let's say we decide to buy it and just rent it out, there are so many options when it comes to single family homes, especially single family homes that are older on big lots, because they can be developed. You can buy time because you can fill it with equity building tenants. So in a lot of cases, you can do short-term rentals. House hacking, for those of you who don't know, is like, house hacking, what's that? That's where somebody moves into a house that has maybe 4 bedrooms, and the person takes the 1 bedroom and rents out the other 3. I know so many people, that's exactly how they started investing in real estate. So it's something that can work. It's not for everybody, but it definitely can work. And what I really want to emphasize is in a situation like this, when you find a deal that is a little, that, for lack of a better word, over leveraged, then it can be a very good no bank qualify opportunity. And let's face it, financing's tough to get. So if you have an opportunity where you can buy a house as a lease option, where the seller can just keep their financing in place, that is a really awesome place to be in. And we've done it over and over and over again. And not only, of course, benefited from it, but also we've also been able to help a lot of people in a jam. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. So again, back to the presentation. We're going to go over 7 things: our credentials, numbers on the deal, how it'll work, some of the benefits, some of the potential drawbacks. At the end of this conversation, at the end of our 35, 40 minutes together, I'm going to ask for a decision. I just want to give you a heads up. And on one hand, you might decide that this is a great fit for you. On the other hand, you might decide that it's not. I just want you to know either way, it's 100% okay. If it is a fit for you, then I just want to make sure we take time to go over the next steps together. All right, so that we can get you helped out as soon as possible. So this is me and blah, blah, blah. I'm so great. La, la, la. This is my mortgage broker, and he can help things along because he's going to end up getting us the financing so that we can buy you out in the next 5 years, because I'm going to propose a 5-year plan. This is the lawyer that we will use for the lease option up front, because what we're going to need to do is put an option to purchase on your house. And of course, we're going to use lawyers to do that. You're going to have a lawyer and I'm going to have a lawyer. I've done over 25 lease options myself. I've created a lease option course. I bought my house that I live in right now with this big red and white painting behind me. And I've also sold personal homes through lease option as well as investment properties. So I have a lot of experience in lease options. These are some examples of people that we've helped. This was a condo. This was Lisa. She was in big trouble. Her boyfriend had moved. She was pregnant with his child. It was her second baby. She needed to go. We helped her do that. This is a house in Gallagher Canyon in Kelowna. These folks were in serious financial trouble. They were able to move on to a farm in Salmon Arm and go on with their lives. This house was over in West Kelowna, and the buyers had a nightmare tenant. They paid cash for the property. We did a lease option with them. Instead of them making like $400,000 on their house, they ended up making over $600,000 on the house because we paid them monthly cash flow for 5 years. So they did really, really well. And this house is in Beaumont, Alberta, and we helped a real estate investor who took one of those, raw, we buy houses courses that I sell, by the way. But,
That's
he just graduated from a seminar and he got in a little bit over his head, and it happens to the best of us, happened to me. His name is David. And he bought this house and held on to it for close to a year vacant. And it was just bleeding him dry, the poor guy. So we were able to step in, help him out, and ended up, instead of him losing like 60 grand, he broke even at the end of the day. So it was great. So we have a lot of experience doing this. So it's important to talk about your experience, folks. That's my point on this slide. And if you don't have experience, well, you need to team up with somebody that has experience, because that's the beauty of teams and leverage. You can leverage other people's network. You can leverage other people's time. You can leverage other people's money and also their experience. So here's Jeff, another member of the team. He's my husband, and he's just going to make sure the house is always well looked after. Sprinklers break, he knows how to fix them. House needs to be re-roofed. He knows exactly how to deal with that and how to do it economically. So he's a good, really, really valuable guy to have on the team. So this is your house on Ethel Street, 3 bed, 2 bath. It's in a great area of Kelowna. We're really excited about it, and we want to buy it from you in 5 years for $750,000. It's not it's not quite worth that right now, but we're willing to pay that price because it just needs some stuff done to it as we both went over. So let's just say you were to sell this house right now with a realtor. You're going to have showings. You're going to have to spend all that money in order to upgrade the house. You're going to have holding costs. There's going to be worry. There's going to be hassle and expenses to pay your realtor. Versus us, as selling as a rent to own, we're going to take over all your payments right away. We are going to look after the property and make sure that the grass is mowed and that the windows are clean and that it looks good. We'll take it as is, where it is. This will hopefully give you peace of mind. We're going to take care of everything, and we're even going to pay your legal fees. So let's do some math. Let's get into some brass tacks. Let's say you list the house for $750,000. Well, statistically, right now, houses are selling for about 95% of what they are listed at. So you're going to end up selling, you're probably going to, just based on what's happening in the world, you're going to probably get an offer for around 720, maybe less, maybe more, but just based on what's going on, probably around 720. You're going to have to, and if you're going to get 720, you're going to have to put $50,000 into it. So there's going to be that expense. There's going to be $26,000 of holding costs because that's quite a few months. Sorry, there's $12,000 of holding costs. If you sell it for $720,000 through the MLS, that's $26,000 in realtor fees. So, and you're gonna have worry because you're just not gonna know what's going on. And quite frankly, it probably will be a hassle. So at best, I would hazard to say that you might net out of this property, if you're to list it right now, maybe $20,000. Versus selling to us as a rent to own, we'll agree to $750,000. There won't be realtor fees, so you're gonna save $26,000 there. You're not gonna have to put 50 grand in because we're gonna take care of that. We're going to take over immediately, so you're not going to have holding costs. Since you already have financing in place, over the next 5 years, you're going to have $23,000 of debt paid out. So I'm going to go off script real quick. How do I know that? That is from my deal analyzer. That is, it's a automatic calculator that helps you calculate math on property. So what it has is a amortization schedule. There's a full tutorial that goes with it. There's a link around here to find the deal analyzer. And if you can't find it, then find me and I'll get you the deal analyzer. Anyway, I know that over the next 5 years, this mortgage is going to be paid down $23,000. You can't put a price tag on the peace of mind that you're going to have by knowing that this property is off of your hands. Again, we will take care of anything, and we're even going to save you $1,700 in legal fees. So just comparing that math, you're going to net about $20,000. It's not negative, even though I put it in red ink. You're going to save all of this money on the rate, which is a net of, which means you're going to be ahead by $142,000. So that's an obvious benefit right there. The difference in your bank account of working with us versus selling with a realtor right now. So we will purchase the property for $750,000 in 5 years. We're either going to rent it out or we're going to find another lease option buyer. We might help somebody else get into home ownership. And I want to be fully transparent with you here today. We hope to make money. We want to make sure that you're okay with that. So that's not going to be a problem, is it? And that's where you hope to say, no, you're going to help me. And look at all those numbers. And where do I sign? So here are some benefits. It's kind of it's obvious. We're going to pay, you're going to have peace of mind. You're not going to have to show it. We're going to take it as it is. Of course, though, there are risks, lots of them. We could fail. We might have to adjust the price. There could be challenges with the sale, the challenges with the tenant, challenges with the tenant buyer. The property could crash, the values could crash. You could end up having to list after all. And this all could be just a big, gigantic waste of time. All of that is possible. I'm not going to pretend like it's not. So summary on the sale, we'll sign paperwork now to get everything, ink to paper. And then in 5 years, you're going to have to sign again because we're either going to buy the house out or we're going to, well, no, in 5 years, we're going to buy the house out from you one way or another. Okay. So you will have to sign twice, once for the lease option and once for the final sale where we exercise our option to purchase this house. Again, we'll pay legal fees and you're going to end up with ahead by $142,000. So you're going to be $142,000 ahead. At this point, do you have any questions for me? Question. And I really only have one question for you. Is there any reason you would not want to move forward with a deal like this? It's the same question as last time. And no matter what happens, if it's a fit, if it's not a fit, if they need to think about it, I at least know when they're done thinking, might be 3.5 days. I might not use such complicated math next time. I don't know. It depends on how silly I'm feeling. Either way, you say thank you. Thank you for your time. And if we are moving forward, then the next steps are to complete the lease option paperwork. We're going to communicate during this whole process over the next 5 years. We're going to take over your payments, management of the property, and we're going to have to do paperwork again at the end of the day for the eventual actual sale of the property. So those are two scenarios. One where you take over as a lease option and one where you buy something with a tremendous amount of equity. So what questions do you have when it comes to this side of things with the lease option presentation?
Nope, nothing for me. This is good.
Okay.
Hold on. So, how does the seller justify in their head, since they're not as experienced with the theory as we are? We keep saying the same sentence, saving 142,000 over 5 years. So that's $28,400 a year, right?
Yeah.
How are we helping them balance in their head? Well, if I sell now, I'll lose $142,000, but I'll get this idea, I'll get this concept of this house out of my docket. Like it won't be in my life anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Versus, we're going to give them because in their head, they don't have to do anything else except do the mortgage payments, right? Because the financing will still be on their name, right?
Yes, but they'll be which scenario?
This one.
Sorry, the where we buy it as a rent to own?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're covered. Like we pay them so that it's covered.
Right. Okay. But in there, because they're not real estate investors, they're just regular T4 people. I don't know how to call them. I call them muggles and non-muggles. Right? In their heads, their only responsibility is, oh my God, I still have a mortgage under my name, which is like the big X. Whether or not I have to pay for the money or not, Julie's going to give me the money for this, but still, on my paperwork, I have a mortgage. So how is that justifying them in their head saving, let's just call it $29,000 a year over 5, right? Because they think that 5 years is like a forever time versus right now.
So what makes you think that 5 years is a forever time?
Because they're not investors, and I don't think that they can see that it is a short time.
And
if I sell my house in 30, 60, 90 days with a realtor,
Mhm.
that's less than a year and I'm done.
Mhm.
Now if I take this option, like we're like devil's advocate, if I take this option with this person who's making this presentation, oh my God, I'm gonna be in this mix for the next 5 years.
Okay. So, s- sorry, I know you've done a lot of real estate. How many lease options have you done?
That one, zero. So
Okay,
I
okay.
probably,
Well, I just thought maybe you have done a lot of them because I know you've done a lot of real estate for a lot of years. So
yeah.
I happen to have an unfair disadvantage when it comes to these kinds of deals because I've been through bankruptcy and I've been through foreclosure and it's awful. And it's really
Hmm.
tough to hold on to a house that you no longer want. And it's really, really, really tough to pay a mortgage on a house that's just sitting there vacant. So every time we've done this, it's been a relief for the people,
Okay.
even if it took 5 years. And yes, so waiting 90 days and just letting a realtor sell it is absolutely an option for somebody. And it's not like they wouldn't be ahead. They might be ahead. It's just real skinny at 20,000,
Yeah.
but that's a total fit for some people. And
Hmm.
what ends up happening with lease options and rent to own and working with really motivated sellers, and I'm talking off market people. I've only done a lease option once with a realtor, and it was a sophisticated realtor who understood the deal. He's the one that I worked with the I mentioned Gallagher Canyon with these folks who moved up to Salmon Arm. He understood what was going on with them, and he approached me about it because he knew I could probably help these folks move on, and we did. Like they were they were up to here and these payments were
Okay.
killing them. And we took over. We actually sold it as a lease option and had things covered. So
So
yeah,
they
it
might
can
take, let's just call it, they might take the bait knowing that this whole cesspool of their problem will be solved by another person.
bait.
Well, this proposal, this
Oh,
option
okay.
to,
Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's say they like they think our offer is a good solution for them.
yeah, we're just giving someone else the headache that we think, but this Julie person came into our life and she thinks our headache is not a headache. So here, take it.
Yeah. And that's what people sometimes will decide to do.
Okay.
And it may be tough to believe.
Hmm.
It's
Until
easier to
you're in it.
believe if you've been through it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question though. Like, why would somebody ever do this?
So just an expansion of that too, and I might be missing something. So if we do this option, they still have the mortgage in their name, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
So how do they go and buy another house?
Yeah.
they probably don't.
Okay, so they go rent or something.
Well, and some people like this scenario, she already moved. She already bought another house.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's right. In this one, yeah.
And maybe she went and she rented. I don't know. Like, I
Right.
would know. I would know. But I didn't
Yeah.
specify that in the presentation. But I'll tell you
Okay.
that these folks that I helped in Gallagher, I shouldn't say I, it's totally a team, that we helped in Gallagher, they bought a house in Salmon.
Okay. So they
Yeah.
bought a house first, left this one
Yep.
vacant,
Yep.
and then just waiting for this opportunity. Okay.
And then, yeah, like the people, and talked to you about West Kelowna. I showed that slide. They had paid cash for this house and they just had this terrible tenant situation and it lasted for like literally 2 years.
Wow.
They bought a house, they bought another house like
Okay.
10 minutes away,
Wow.
but they still had this house. And some people that's where they're at.
Yeah.
And some people go and they rent. Like I told you about Lisa with the condo and the baby and the daddy and the Saskatchewan. She went and lived with him. And I don't know what I can't remember what his situation was. I think he was renting.
Okay.
But she went, then the family came together, and that's what made the most
Right.
sense for her. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Cool.
people, that happens to people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's kind of a
Okay.
beautiful thing. I,
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah. I
a
like this
beautiful
one.
thing. It's one of the most beautiful things about this strategy.
I like this.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Any other questions?
No, I think that's good.
Okay. Well, we went
Yeah,
over a lot. I know we
we
went over
did.
a lot. Those are exact examples of what you can do. The copies of these PowerPoints will be made available to anybody that wants them. You just have to reach out to me and let me know. And it might be near the recording, but I'm trying to figure out how to make that work. But I'm findable. If you
Yeah.
found me here, you can find me however else you could find me, because you're either seeing this on email or on Facebook or on email.
And then there's the other piece of like listening to the theory and listening to everything that you say and owning it and then actually doing it your own self.
Yeah.
Taking
And
action.
9 p.m. calls, Julie,
I said email or Facebook. Where did I say?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Only
I'm
certain people have
remarkably
your
at my
text.
phone. I'm remarkably at my phone. But yes, I mean, it's it's a cool strategy because some people, this is their own. I'll tell you a story. I work with this woman named JC, and they had a tricky situation in Ontario, and they were staring down the barrel of $130,000 loss, and she is an investor.
Yes.
She sold her house as a rent to own. And with the down payment that these people put down and the monthly payments that they're going to make, and the fact that they're going to take over all of the maintenance and they're going to pay the taxes and they're going to cover the insurance, it's going to be a head cash flow, and they're going to get all this lovely debt pay down. It's a nice mortgage on it. And at the end of it's 5 years, the end of 5 years, instead of losing $130,000, they're going to break even. They're going to be made whole, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And something that's even more fun is Trisha and Michael, this lovely couple with these beautiful little kids. Now they live across the street from the elementary school, so the kids can walk to school. They live in a house that's been completely renovated, top to bottom, so they don't worry about their kids having allergies and mold and some of the disgusting things they had to deal with as renters. And they never thought they would ever be homeowners. And they're working their butts off to make this deal happen. And that is really special to be part of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I love this option.
yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, all right, everybody, I have one more thing I want to talk about. I always forget to talk about it because I don't know why, but I do. So here we are, and I got to be careful of my language, and I got to talk better because words are powerful. And it's I so we have. I'm going to set this link up nearby too. There's going to be so many links. There's going to be a lot of links. Check out all the links, please. A lot of people don't know that I've got all of these courses, and the rent to own course isn't even on here yet. So it's how to find deals, how to put together creative deals, all of our monthly membership recordings. Oh, can you see this? You can't see
Nope.
it. You can't see my library because I'm not sharing my screen. Dear Lord, Julie, come on.
We were just talking.
We're just talking and talking. So this is the library. So we have a digital bandit sign course, and we have students that have found wonderful deals using bandit signs. I know those I buy houses signs, they work, and they can be very, very powerful. So this is how to find deals online. Here's the original bandit sign course right over here. These are outside signs. You'll see them on telephone poles and in yards. People get in trouble with the city, but it's still kind of fun. Street Smart Buyer is how to buy deals creatively. Um, Monthly membership. This is like 108 recorded recordings from 2018 when we started recording and keeping track of all the content. So it's a ton of valuable information. We have a wholesaling course. So Danusia, you had these questions about wholesaling. This is where you find out about wholesaling and whether or not it makes sense for you to start doing that. But it's my favorite way for people to get started in real estate without taking a lot of risk. It's very powerful, powerful stuff. My free real estate, my tools are they're the foundation of what's used. So I talked about the motivated seller worksheet and my deal analyzer. Those two tools are in this course, how to raise capital for coaching and courses. It's for people that maybe they have a tough time being able to afford coaching. You can create a win-win, and you look at that course and you see how raising money for real estate, you'll be infinite if you know how to raise money in order to buy houses. So this is my library, and it's with the exception of the wholesale course, you get everything in this course except for the wholesale course for $97 a month. All right. So if that's something that you think might be a fit for you, it is a lot of information for low barrier of entry. I want to help as many people as I can. The link for this will be around here. Okay. All right. So thank you for being here. I talked about how words are just so powerful. We had this great, I'm going to end on this. Okay. We had this wonderful event. It's so cool that both of you are here because both of you were there. And we talked about, we had Melanie Robinson, who's a fantastic speaker. And if you're looking for an awesome speaker, then you got to look up Melanie Robinson. I can help you find her too if you're watching this recording. And she told us to, when we're going to be going into a nervous situation or a scary situation, to create, is it the ring of fire, the ring of greatness, the ring of what? Does anybody remember?
It was a circle of something, wasn't it?
I think it's the circle of power. I don't know.
Something like
I
that.
can't remember what it was. So everybody's going to think I'm so silly. That's fine. Tonight's the silly night. This is me.
Oh, hold it
See
back.
this?
Hold it back close to you. Oh, there we
Yeah,
are.
there we go.
Perfect. Ladies, Rams just fell short in districts.
That's me.
Wow,
Ooh.
look at you.
Thank you. I was 18 and very springy. And I remember it being a time in my life where I was so proud of myself. And so the circle of power, the exercise that you do is you're entering a scary situation. You think of a time when things were going great and you felt confident and you felt like you believed in yourself, because that's not always the case. Sometimes we doubt ourselves and sometimes we go through challenges and then we say, we get the devil invades our thoughts with, hey, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you can't get this done. So the circle of power is where you can put those times when you feel awesome about yourself, you put it in the circle. And then you step out and you think of something else that's awesome and you put it in the circle. And this is one of the things that I think of because I was a really good basketball player. And I just felt great about myself at that time in my life. And it works. And I'm hanging it up in my office. And I encourage you to do something similar because life is just better when you know how awesome you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about thinking how awesome you are, is that you know how awesome you are.
No.
'Cause everybody is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're here, for you ladies, rock stars. Fallon, I know she would be if she could. It sounds like she had some technical problems. And if you're watching this or you're listening to this, you are awesome too, because you're doing something that most people are not willing to do.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it at that. See you next Wednesday. Don't know what we're talking about, but I know it's going to be fun.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you, Julie.
See you guys.
Bye,
Take care.
Night.
everybody.
Bye, ladies.